they studied the Torah, which is the Moses' first 5 books of Moses, the law, because it was written on a scroll. It came to be called the Torah. And the Talmud then is commentaries on this, and oral traditions of the great rabbis from around the 2nd and 1st century BC to the 1st century AD, around the time of Christ, or Christianity, or whatever it is born. And then the Talmud really looks like this. You have this like this, here like this, which is all written in Hebrew. And then around it is this all written like this. So, and this is written sometimes in Aramaic, sometimes in Hebrew, or whatever. So it's a book within a book. This part was compiled around the 2nd century AD, and this part was done around the 2nd to the 6th century AD. So it's the commentaries on this thing, which in itself is a kind of commentary on the Bible. So it's a commentary on a commentary on a commentary. And it's about 30 volumes. Is that right? More or less, something like that. I thought you were telling him something on that particular subject. It's about 30 volumes in a normal book type length. So to read it, you have to know Hebrew, you have to know Aramaic. So if you're a little kid, you have to learn all this when you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And then you start, so for a little kid to do 4 pages is a big deal. And he doesn't just do 4 pages. What does he do? He memorizes 4 pages. He memorizes 4 pages a day to please his father. But, he says, I'm he's kind of funny. I'm like a genius or something. He's not very. If you saw the movie, there's a movie of this book, which is really good. Robbie Benson plays Danny. I don't know who plays the little jerky guy. But the movie is pretty accurate in terms of getting his character right. He said, I have a photographic mind. And so Reuben's impressed. He said, I'm impressed. I'm sure I'm going to take my father's place. And then Reuben says he wants to be a rabbi too. What do you want to be a rabbi for? Danny asked Reuben. There's so many other things you could do. That's funny that you should talk like that. You're going to be a rabbi. I don't have a choice, Danny says. It's an inherited position. I have to do it. I don't have any choice. I'm the successor to my father. You're free. You mean you wouldn't be a rabbi if you had a choice? No, I don't think so, he said. What would you be? Probably a psychologist. A psychologist? You want to be a psychologist? Yeah, actually. Is that like Freud, psychoanalysis, and things like that? Yes, he said. I didn't know much all about psychoanalysis. And Danny Sanders, in his Hasidic clothes, seemed to me to be about the last person in the world who would qualify to be an analyst. And how about you, Danny asked, if you weren't going to be a rabbi? Oh, a mathematician, something like that. So they have this kind of talk. Look, they talk about, my father sends him along, one of the teachers who's waiting outside, I think, for him, to make sure we don't mix too much with the apocorism. You're an apocorism. That apocorism thing really got me angry, Reuben said. This is the last page before the end of chapter 2. So on and so forth. Then he tells them at the very end of the chapter, my father doesn't write, Danny said. He reads a lot, but he never writes. He says words distort what a person really feels in his heart. He doesn't like to talk too much either. Oh, he talks plenty when we're studying, but otherwise he doesn't say much. He told me once he wished everyone could talk in silence. Talk in silence? I don't understand it either, Danny said. Anyway, he begins to tell him that his father doesn't talk to him. He doesn't tell him exactly then.